My name is Spencer Barron, and I will be presenting on applied behavior analysis. First off, what is applied behavior analysis? It's a type of therapy that is used to perform or that is used to observe and learn why somebody performs a particular behavior. The goal of ABA is to increase behaviors that are helpful and decrease behaviors that are hurtful and or affect learning. ABA can also help with improving student attention, focus, social skills, memory, and academics. Why should teachers care about ABA? ABA helps educators understand their students and how they tick. A large part of ABA is understanding why people do certain behaviors. And I think because teachers have to understand their students in those situations, it definitely helps to build and connect with their students. ABA is a flexible and adjustable form of therapy. It can be modified and adjusted to whoever and whatever situation is needed. It is flexible because it can be used at both home or it can be used at home, school, and around the community, depending on where you'd like to use it. Some forms of ABA are discrete trial training, pivotal response treatment, natural environment training, and the token economy. The main use of ABA is for behavior replacement. The three steps of that are first, to observe and determine the reason for an unwanted behavior. That is where you observe and look at a behavior, try to really understand why it's happening. Um, at this point, after the first step, a replacement behavior can be found to replace an existing behavior that is unwanted that serves the same purpose. And then the third would be obviously to replace that unwanted behavior. An example of that would be a student who screams out in class because they want attention or they're trying to get your attention. So, replacement behavior that functions the same purpose would be to raise your hand. It is a more desirable behavior. So, you would work on instead of having a child scream out, they would simply raise their hand, wait to be called upon, and then they can share. They're getting the attention that they want without disturbing others and causing a scene in class. Um, Kind of mentioned briefly on there, but the four functions of a behavior are escape, attention, tangible, and automatic. For escape, it's to avoid something or someone or whatever they're doing. For example, a student that doesn't want to work on, say, their goal book or um, just a specific task that they're being asked to do. They don't want to, they're trying to get away, they just would rather be anywhere but there. Just a replacement behavior for that would be to take a break. Just have them take a break. That way, you still have control of the situation, what's going on. When they're done with their break, they come back, you resume working. Great. They feel like they have gotten away, but at the same time, you still have them doing what you want them to do. Another is attention. This is when obviously they want attention from another individual, whether that be a teacher or a student or just another adult. An example of that would be shoving a classmate in order to get attention. And the replacement behavior for that would just be to simply tap on, a friend's shoulder and say, "Hey." This way, we're not being aggressive. We're not being, in some cases, probably violent towards another student. You're just kindly saying, "Hi, I'd like to talk to you," and tapping on the shoulder. Tangible is wanting something enjoyable, whether that is to do something or something. For example, a child crying because they want a toy. They want it, so the best thing that they do is to cry and whine and complain about it. A replacement behavior for that would be to use your words. Share, "Hi, I would like that toy. I would like this thing," and give it to them. That way, it's a more appropriate response to something. And then lastly is the automatic function. These are self satisfying stimulation that requires no other individuals. I have a student, for example, in one of my classes or in my class who grinds his teeth to death. We've often discussed how is it that he has really any teeth left, he grinds them so much. But as a replacement, we've given him little chewy toys. That way he's still getting his oral fixation and oral stimulus without hurting his own teeth. When doing ABA, you're often going to do some data collection, and one of the best processes is the ABC data collection process. The A stands for antecedent, which are the events that occur prior to a behavior taking place. B is obviously for the behavior, which is the unwanted behavior. And then C is the consequence, which are the actions or responses that follow a behavior. Um, this data collection is usually taken through recorded situational factors surrounding a problem or behavior, or a problem behavior, in order to produce a hypothesis as to why a behavior is being performed. This is usually in the first process of ABA, or of data collection, when you look at a student and you find an unwanted behavior. Again, you have that behavior, but you look at the circumstances around it. What time of day is it? What's been going on prior to the behavior happening? Um, let's say a child screaming. Are they upset prior to that? Did somebody shove them? Did somebody do something that they didn't care for? Did they see something they didn't care for? It's all about trying to understand why something is happening. Because if you can get into the mind of your student and understand why something is happening, their response may seem logical to them based on their own thinking, but if you can understand that, you can understand the reason for why they are doing it. And you can come up with a better replacement behavior response for that, teaching them the proper way to respond to something or the proper way to handle something. Um, and the consequences, obviously, is what happens because of that behavior that they performed. You want to find better responses. Their action may upset everyone else in the room, or may do these things. It's just not always the best response. So you want to be able to curtail that and give them a better response to things. So looking at some methods of ABA is discrete trial training. It's a technique of ABA, although it is often confused in place of ABA. The process of discrete trial training is giving a student a cue to perform a behavior. Then step 2 is the student's response to said cue. And then based on whatever response they have. And based on the response that you want from them, if it's correct, they're rewarded. If not, you may try it again or move on to something else. It kind of just depends on what's going on. And then the final step is to just pause for data collection. Let the student reset, as well as it gives you a time to write down any findings that you have made. Pivotal response treatment is another. The theory behind the method of pivotal response treatment is that there are pivotal behaviors in a child, and once they access and have changed these behaviors, they influence others. For example, in a game of bingo, the child learns a variety of skills apart from just how to play bingo. They can learn listening skills, verbalization skills, interacting with others, taking turns, socializing. And when you learn it through this, playing bingo or doing these everyday things, they will tend to bleed over into other things, whether that is everyday life, everyday tasks. And it's a good way to almost trick them into learning sometimes. Next is the natural environment training. This is a method of administering ABA therapy in a natural setting. This allows therapists to provide a more realistic world setting for students away from clinical settings. This is used primarily with children with autism that struggle with generalization skills, which is the ability to take a skill learned in one setting and apply it in another setting, even if the child or student has never performed the task in that environment. Sometimes people confuse natural environment training with play therapy, which I honestly don't know why they do, because they're not that at all similar. Play therapy is usually used in legitimate play for not just children with autism, but regular, typical students and children as well, as a way of dealing with trauma, whether it's a way to make growth through that or to understand it or simply just to deal with it and process it. But I guess because it seems to be in a more regular setting, people confuse the two. Lastly is the token economy. It's all based on conditioning. If a child wants a specific reward, they have to perform a certain action in order to receive that reward. For example, if a student wants iPad time, they must fill out their star chart and receive 5 stars. And to obtain these stars, they have to perform a desired action that was previously determined by the teacher. Um, we use this a lot in my current classroom, where we ask them to perform and behave in certain ways, and they each get a star. It may be that they're working for Play-Doh or iPad time, or one of my students likes pretzels, or even going to our garden outside of school and watering it. Each task that they perform, they get one step closer until they achieve it. The token economy is so widely used because it's easily replicated and modified to fit the needs of teachers and students alike. It's very versatile. To continue with this, the kind of the process behind token economy is, first, you have a target behavior. Let's say we don't want a child that yell out. So next step would be, after identifying that behavior, is to find a reinforcer that the child likes. This could be pretzels. It could be to go play with a certain toy, or to go see another teacher that they like. But whatever you choose for that reinforcement, it has to be something that they very much find value in, because if they don't find value in it, they're not going to perform it. The next would be to choose your token. Whether that's stars or pennies or little cars or whatever it is, it helps if it is something that aligns with an interest of theirs. That just makes things a little smoother if it's something that they're interested in. And lastly, or no, step 4 is to determine the number of tokens that they need. Depending on the unwanted behavior, if it happens more frequently, you may want them to have to you may want a student that has to earn more tokens. If it is a more if it's not seen as often, they may need fewer in order to do that. But you need to set from the beginning how many they need in order to gain the reward. And of course, step 5 is how will that token be tracked, and when is their goal reached? When do students know, okay, I've gotten to that point where I've earned enough? You want them to be able to look at their chart, whether it's hanging or they have a little one. In our class, we have little charts and they each have little stars on there, and they're able to look at it and know how far they go. It's a lot of self-monitoring for them, which is nice and gives them some ownership of what they're doing. Another tip that I've learned from practice myself is that whenever a student performs the desired action, you want to reward them immediately with their token or their reward. Because if they're going to do these things for you and in order to earn them, if they're not getting that immediate response and immediate reward, there's no reason for them to continue to do this if you're not going to back it up and give them the things that they've earned. If they're not going to earn whatever they're working for, they're not going to keep doing it. But lastly, to wrap things up and to ask, why is ABA important? It's data driven and it's very reliable. It's been used for a long time. It can be implemented across all grades, whether that's elementary, middle, or high school. It's adjustable and flexible for everyone. Like I said, it is very versatile. It can be formed at home, school, any after-school curricular things, as long as whoever's there is, aware of it. But ABA is great because it helps replacement behaviors. It helps learn new skills. It can do a lot. But I think one of the biggest reasons I enjoy ABA is not only does it help with behavior, but it's very good at building relationships and understanding your students. I think that when they get certain rewards, they want to work hard to please you. They want to work hard to get those rewards. And when you have to build those plans and those behaviors, plans around the students and replacing certain behaviors, you really get to understand them and why they behave the way they do, why they do the things that they do. And I think understanding our kids helps us to teach them better, to understand them better, to have more patience with them when you understand in their minds why they're justified to do certain things that they do. But overall, I think ABA is a very helpful tool for teachers and educators alike to have in a little toolbox. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to tell you about applied behavioral analysis. Thank you.